If you feel numb, lost, or disconnected from yourself, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been conditioned to be everything but yourself. You've been praised for staying quiet, approved for performing, and rewarded for playing a role. And somewhere in all of that, you forgot who you actually are. This video isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Elgin, Contrarian Soul Guide, Visionary Mystic, and the creatrix of Practical Spiritualism. And I am so glad you're here. So let's talk about the lie of disconnection. Disconnection isn't a failure, it's a symptom. You've worn so many roles, mother, partner, coach, healer, fixer, that your identity becomes fragmented. You're not lost, you're buried under expectations, conditioning, trauma, and performance. And you've never actually stopped being you. You've just stopped being able to hear you. And what do I mean by hear you? I mean that underneath all of the chaos, all of the thoughts, the worries, the recollecting the past, the worrying and anxiety over the future, beyond all of that, underneath all of that, all the hurts, all the worries, all the limiting beliefs, is you. And we can hear whispers of that. It's the little nudge that we get through our body. It's the little whisper that maybe says yes. It's the part of you that feels like you should do something, but you can't explain it. And when we get so pulled out there, out into the external world, into our peers, into our loved ones, into family, into society, into trying to be accepted, liked, loved, every time we pull out there, the problem is the further we go out there, the further away we are from in here. So it gets harder to hear the voice, the whispers, the nudges that are within you. And for everybody, that is going to sound, quote unquote, a little bit different. And so for some people, it really will sound like a yes or a no. For some people, it might come as what I would call a download. There's just a knowing, claircognizant. And we all have some sort of clair availability. And all of us actually have availability to all of the clairs. Clairvoyant, to be able to see, and we think of that as a physical eyes, and it's not. You can actually, like remembering a dream or a picture, envisioning a room. It looks like that. It could be clairaudient, to hear and literally hear voices, which when I've had big moments where I've needed to make an adjustment, I've actually heard a booming voice. So it can absolutely be a thing. First time it happened, scared the shit out of me. So if it hasn't happened before and it suddenly does, you know what? Take some deep breaths. You're not alone. Yeah, it is unnerving when it happens, but you're in for the best ride of your life. I promise. It could be a nudge, so more of a gut feeling. It could be a tapping, which is what I get when I keep asking a question over and over again. I was asking for clarity recently, and I have one guardian that will tap on my shoulder, and it feels physical. This time I was walking down a path. I saw somebody was behind me and tapped my shoulder. I turned around, there was nobody there. And then I was like, oh, what was I just listening to? I know well enough now that that means to listen to whatever was going on, pay attention. So I immediately, in that case, backed up the Audible book I was listening to and started listening to that part over and over again until I understood what it was that I was getting from it and that I was being given the clarity that I've been asking for. It could be even clairsentient, which can a lot of the times look very similar to empathy. And so it could be just like a feeling. You might get an emotional draw or push. If you're clairvoyant, it could be, instead of pictures, it could be colors. So everybody has their own unique way of experiencing the world. And we do have access to all of them. And just like any other skill, we just have to hone them. The problem is when we're really young, we got taught that we're very physical and we forgot about the whole energy body side of things. We forgot about our bioelectromagnetic field. And so we're not just physical, we have a bioelectromagnetic experience. So electrical thought, magnetic emotions, I'm simplifying, and bio, your body. And we are a combination of those three things. And so when we pull so far out just to the physical realm, it gets harder and harder to hear or sense the whispers that our true self, our internal self, is trying to tell us. Now, there was a season in my life where I was showing up for everyone else, but I didn't actually know what I wanted anymore. I wasn't really living, I was surviving, I was maintaining, and my nervous system was in a constant do more mode. And my soul, well, it kind of felt silent. And it wasn't until after my car accidents, I was in two back in 2017 within a week. And it wasn't until after those accidents where, for myself, my whole life imploded. All of a sudden, I was none of the roles that I had thought I was. I couldn't really even be a survivor. I couldn't be a maintainer. I couldn't be a thriver or a driver. I wasn't supermom. I wasn't a lighting goddess. I wasn't Wonder Wife. I wasn't a 6 a.m. at the gym anymore. I wasn't a runner. So all of a sudden, everything was stripped. And it was very much, who am I? And luckily for myself, I had some people in the peripheral of my life, friends, but they weren't like within my inner circle. They kept saying to me, don't listen to the medical. Don't listen to anybody else. Go listen to HeartMath Institute, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. And they pushed me into a whole different realm of quantum physics and really human development and spirituality. After I started to delve into those things, I started to ask questions. And the questions that I had, two that kept playing, was one, who am I? If I'm not these things, who am I? And the second question was, why do some people heal, spontaneously heal, while other people don't? And those two questions kept being asked over and over and over again. And time after time, I would get a nudge. Listen to this book. Listen to this book. Read this book. Do this spiritual work. And I learned to just follow the nudges. Life just got really uncomfortable when I didn't. And so all of a sudden, I went from really getting an opportunity to disintegrate many of my roles, not all of them, but most of them. And then I got to rebuild myself, but with answers. And the interesting thing is the answers weren't adding something back in, a new identity, a new role. As a matter of fact, every time I tried to do that, things would go sideways. So instead, it ended up being really an unmasking, an unlearning. I had to let these roles go and just be. And it was really confusing coming from a world of doing. How do you do while being, and how do you be while doing? And it was a coach that I was working with. Her name is Fiona Black, and she's amazing. And Fiona said to me one day, oh, no problem. It's doobie 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 doo. And I'm like, what? And she's like, doobie 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 doo. What she meant was, we're in our sympathetic state for a couple of hours, and then we pause and we expand, we make sure we're going in the right direction. And this is even for our day, for a couple of hours. And then we go back in and we're working, we come out, and our rhythm of our body is meant to do this. We're meant to be in sympathetic and parasympathetic and sympathetic and parasympathetic. And we're meant to ebb and flow between these systems every couple of hours. And except in Western society, really worldwide culture now, we are really taught to just drive, do. And for the very minimum is the 8 hours that you're working, if not from the moment that you rise to the moment that you sleep. And we forget the pauses. And it's like, imagine that you were only ever exhaling and you never took the breath in. Or even if you inhaled, exhaled, and you never paused, what that looks like for hyperventilation. And that's what a lot of us are doing. We're putting our whole life into a stress response because we're forgetting the pause part. We're forgetting the be part. And that doesn't necessarily mean going to the spa or, doing something, going on vacation. A lot of times what that means is taking a pause. It means stopping your work for a moment, standing up, stretching, taking a drink of water, maybe taking a couple of rounds of breath, and then you could sit back down. Maybe it means walking out and talking to somebody, but giving an opportunity to open ourselves up to the answers that we've been seeking. But when we're so focused on problems, on the doing, we can't see the whole picture that's available to us. And it's within our clairs, within our intuition. Our intuition can see so much more beyond our physical senses. And so we only see the next step. But our intuition, our higher self, it can see multiple steps in advance. The mind dislikes because the mind can't conceive. The mind can't explain it, can't categorize it. But you, the self, the truth of who you are, absolutely can, because you're magnificent. And it took me those years to really start to understand, who am I? I'm not my body, and I'm not the roles I play, and I'm not my intellect, which had been prized for a long time. I'm the one that's aware of thinking, that's aware of inspiration, that's aware of my body and the experience of it at this age. And I'm the same one that was in this body when it was 20. And I'm not my emotions. I'm the one that's experiencing my emotions, the rise and fall of them. I'm experiencing excitement, not I am excited. And so instead of identifying with all these things, I had to learn how to be and experience them. They're happening, they're doing within me and all around me, but I don't have to be attached to them. And I definitely do not want to be attached to the outcome of them. And that's where so much of our suffering begins. It begins with the attachment to all of the outcomes of our thoughts, the outcomes of our beliefs. And the more that we can detach and unlearn and disentangle, the more we can let go and drop away, the easier being and existing within this world, creating within this world becomes. So I want to talk about why it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So you've been programmed to disconnect from yourself, as we talked about, by society, by family systems, by culture, by survival. And we internalize the roles to survive: achiever, good girl, fixer, the strong one. So survivor. And our nervous system responds with protector identities: fawn, freeze, mask. This is normal. This is survival. They're not flaws. They are strategies, but they're not who you are. You're just the one experiencing those responses. And we become over-identified with the masks: the spiritual one, the healer, the high performer. But those are nervous system responses. They're not your truth. And it's not your fault. But once you see it, it does become your responsibility. And that is vital. That is what we are all here for. We are here to first become aware of awareness. Who am I? And then it is our second internal purpose in this world. So the first purpose is to know thyself. Who am I? And our second purpose that we all have is to embody it, to embody the wisdom. And those are internal purposes that we all have. And so many of us are seeking our purpose and we feel so lost and we keep thinking it's out there in our jobs and what we're doing. Those are secondary purposes and they are important, but nothing is more important than the first two, than those internal purposes. And then our third purpose is to help others do the same. We transmute our energy, our karma, by learning, embodying the wisdom, and then supporting other people on their journey. What that looks like in terms of an external job could be completely different. It means being super present, whatever it is you're doing. I'll never forget that my son, our youngest son, he went to a high school, and the person in his high school that made the greatest impact on him was the janitor. Not a teacher, not a counselor, not a vice principal or an admin staff. All relevant roles, great people. But the janitor was the one that would see them when they were sitting on the stairs, and he would talk to them. It was him that talked to him when I didn't even know he was considering suicide. It was him that saved so many students. And year after year, as kids graduated, they would thank him. So it's not the job you're doing, it's who you're being while doing that job. And that sometimes is really hard for us because the ego wants to be like, no, I got to be something big. I got to be something great. Everybody needs to know me. Everybody needs to see me. No, you need to see. You need to see the light in others. That's what lights you up. You need to hear. You need to listen. You need to be present with yourself and then with the world around you. Not assuming that we know what we need to do next, but to be there. There's nothing more powerful than having the experience of somebody being present with us, to feel truly seen and heard. What more impactful gift can you give? Don't get me wrong, there's lots of great things in this world, medical, achievements and all the rest, and I'm not negating them. But everybody wants to go to the extremes in these conversations, and we are talking everyday life. To be totally present and look a cashier in the eye and say thank you. Get off your phone. To actually be with your friend while you're walking with them, to hear beyond the words they're saying. We are so much more than this physical body. We're brilliant light, pure perfection, pure potential. And we forget that. And that really comes to the art of remembering. And remembering isn't, again, about adding more. It's about peeling back what was never yours to begin with. So we can have some practices that will help support our remembering. One of those practices is breathwork to quiet the noise. And that can look like conscious breathing. And conscious breathing isn't so much about a length of time. It's about being conscious, aware of the breath. And so that could be closing your eyes and coming inward. It could be softening your gaze. It could be placing a hand on your heart and another one on your abdomen and breathing into the hand that's in your abdomen and just being present in your body. Notice where the breath is landing, what its texture is, its temperature, how long, without having an expectation of how long it should be, and just being present with yourself. What does it feel like to receive breath? What does it feel like for breath to be absorbed as you pause? What does it feel like to release breath, to give breath back? And just notice. It's a beautiful way to come back into this moment right now. And that is a practice I have used for years when I was struggling with anxiety and panic attacks and all sorts of things after the accidents that I didn't understand. I'd been ignoring them, I guess, for years actually, and I had no idea that I was that stressed out until I stopped. And then I was like, oh, I had no idea I'd been that stressed out. So that's one, conscious breathing. Another is mirror work. And so this is not looking at yourself and telling yourself that you're beautiful. It means to look at yourself without labels. And so the best way to do this is to look in our eyes, to just stare into our eyes until we can start seeing maybe light reflected in them. And so a lot of times when we're doing mirror work and we're looking at the physical body, that's really difficult for us. We judge the physical body. But to look at yourself without all of those labels. Who am I without all the things that I call myself? Who am I if I'm not the things people say I am? Who am I? And then the somatic check-in. So we can feel like what feels true in my body, but not in my mind. So again, we come into the somatic. Or we can use a journal prompt. Who was I before the world told me who to be? And that can bring up all sorts of memories. Remembering is a felt experience, not a mindset. You don't think your way back into your soul. You breathe, you feel, and you presence your way back. To be in this moment with yourself. You don't need to find yourself. You're not lost. You're just under all the layers of noise. And your essence hasn't disappeared. It's been patiently waiting beneath the performance. And every breath you take is a step closer to hearing her again. Just breathe into it. Breathe in inspiration. I encourage you to use a relaxation breath, which is a breathe in through the nose for 4, we hold for 2, and then we exhale for 8. Now, as I say this, if we are in a really tight stress response, that can be a hard breath to do. And so I encourage you to just inhale for as long as you can, try and breathe it down to the belly, and then hold for 1 or 2, just a pause. And then exhale for twice as long as you inhaled. So if you only inhaled for 2 counts, then exhale for 8. Or sorry, if you only inhaled for 2, exhale for 4. If you inhaled for 3, exhale for 6. And just pause at the top and the bottom until it starts to slow and expand. I encourage you to close your eyes in the practice. It helps bring us inward into the experience to show us where we're holding tension in our body. And so then with each and every exhale, we just release. I let go of the story that was never mine. And with every inhale, we choose to remember who we actually are. And it might be inhale, I choose to remember myself. Exhale, I choose to let go of the stories. Inhale, I choose to remember myself. Exhale, I choose to release the stories. And feel into your body what that feels like. So things I want you to remember. 1, you are not your trauma. You're the one that's experienced it, and you're one that's holding on to it, but you're also the one that can let it go. You can release it. I promise. You are not your productivity. It's not a badge of honor. You are the one that is productive, that is experiencing productivity. And you're not your roles. You're the one experiencing them. You're the one beneath it all. You are breath. You are essence, and you are sovereign. I encourage you to pause before responding. Ask, is this really aligned with who I am? Or write down what truth is rising in me right now, even if it scares me. And give yourself permission to not be who the world told you to be. How novel would that be? If this video cracked something open for you, you are not alone, and you're not behind, which is how I felt for many years. You are remembering, and I want to walk with you. So we have the Sovereignty Rising podcast that has now launched, and you can hear it here on YouTube or on your favorite podcast company. You can book a sovereignty assessment call with me where we just talk and see where you're at and what can support you. You can join our Awakening Circle Facebook group, which is for like-minded people, or you can download the journaling prompts from today's episode. And I want you to drop a remembering myself in the comments if this spoke to your soul today. And as always, I kindly request that you subscribe, follow us, and share with someone else that you think might benefit from watching this video today. I see the light in you, and it is freaking brilliant. I want you to see it too.